بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وربك الغفور الرحمة واخذهم بما كسبوا لعجل لهم العذاب بل لهم موعد لن يجدوا من دونه موئلا. وتلك القرى أهلكناهم لما ظلموا وجعلنا لمهلكهم موعدا. وإذ قال موسى لفتاه لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا فلما بلغا مجمع بينهما نسيا حوتهما فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا. فلما جاوزا فتاه آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا. قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان أن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا. قال ذلك ما كنا نبغي فارتدا على آثارهما قصصا فوجدا عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما. قال له موسى هل اتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا وكيف تصبر على ما لم تحط به خبرا. قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا ولا أعصي أمرا. قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرا. فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا. قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. قال لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا ترهقني من أمري عسرا. فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله. قال أقتلت نفسا زاكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا. قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا. فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك سأنبئك بتاويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا وأما الغلام فكان أبواه مؤمنين فخشينا أن يرهقهما طغيانا وكفرا فأردنا أن يبدلهما ربهما خيرا منه زكاة وأقرب رحما وأما الجدار فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا فأراد ربك أن يبلغا أشدهما ويستخرجا كنزهما رحمة من ربك وما فعلته عن أمري ذلك تأويل ما لم تسطع عليه صبرا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي خلق الإنسان وميزه بالعقل للإدراك والفهم ورزقه بالإسلام وشرع عليه السماحة في منهجها وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, it's also another opportunity to be here again with you wonderful people. We ask the Almighty Allah to bless us and to forgive us. We are in the last 10 nights of the month of Ramadan. Today is the 24th day of Ramadan, which corresponds with 1441 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also corresponds with the 17th day of May 2020. We are still talking about the Quran. It's been almost 2 weeks. I believe we've been talking about the Quran, and we were talking and looking at trending issues back home in Ghana. The need for us to talk about the Sharia and espouse more on the Sharia is very, very important. Yes. Issues concerning, allegations against Islam, both home, locally and internationally. And when I observed the debates going on social media, I understood and realized that there's a need as Muslims to even really, really, really read our religion and understand it very, very well. Sometimes the level of ignorance being exposed by some of us on social media is very, very frightening when it comes to aspects of the religion. From allegations from Muslims themselves and allegations from non-Muslims towards Islam, the misconceptions that some Muslims have about the Sharia, and the misconceptions that non-Muslims also have. Some of these misconceptions about Islam is not only coming from non-Muslims. We have Muslims too who have these misconceptions about Islam, especially the Sharia, that the Sharia came to kill, destroy, maim, and that's the only thing that comes to people's minds, because the enemies of Islam have done a very good job in painting us dirty when it comes to the Sharia, and unfortunately us are giving free PR to the enemies of Islam when they are painting us dirty, and it's very, very painful. And the need for Muslims to really read their religion and understand it is very, very important. So in discussing the character Sharia, we saw it to be, you know, the first one we talked about the last time was Ashumul wa Takamul, that the Islamic legal system, the Sharia, is encompassing and then it is complementary. And then we saw that it was universal. Then we came and then we saw the nitty-gritties of the Sharia, where it looks at new family life, economic life, social life, political life. That is where we talked about, the inheritance and stuff like that. Another thing that some people accuse Islam of is the religion is intolerant. We don't tolerate opposing views. And Muslims are quick to fight, or the Sharia has given us the opportunity to fight and beat. The Sharia is very, very difficult. You can't practice it. It's very, very difficult. So you have Muslims having, some of these thoughts in their minds that the Sharia is very difficult. The Sharia is very wicked. The Sharia is not forgiving. If you steal, chop off hands. If you fornicate, flog. If you drink, beat. If you do this. So people have this in the back of their minds that the Sharia is only about beating. Every legal system has penal codes. And the Sharia is not different. Every legal system has penal codes, has punishments in there. So the Sharia, in coming to, regularize people's lives, brought in penal codes as a form of deterrent from others. Within the Ghanaian legal system, there are penal codes. If you do some things, if you flout the laws, the law will take its course. So why is it different that in Islamic law, when you flout the laws, you don't expect that penal codes to work? But then, the topic of today, as you can see, is the magnanimity of the Sharia and its tolerance. How tolerant is the Sharia? I want us to look at it from 3 angles or more. The first angle I want us to look at is the magnanimity and the tolerance between Muslims themselves is very important. Then magnanimity between Muslims and then non-Muslims, the tolerance. What does the Sharia say concerning, your relationship with Muslims, between you and yourselves? And then what does the Sharia say between you and other people who are not Muslims? And then finally, within the rituals of Islam, within Islam itself, within the activities, the rights and then the responsibilities, or the activities that Islam has made it compulsory or otherwise upon ourselves, what is the magnanimity in there? Is it that there is no flexibility? Is it that there's no exceptions within the Islamic legal framework? Is it that it is straightforward? I want us to look at these examples. Let's look into the Islamic activities, the rituals, like Salat, like Hajj, like Zakat. What is there? Are there any exceptions? Is it just straightforward, hook, line, and sinker? Or there are some secondary laws around them? As I told us at the beginning, the Islamic legal system is very, very, very comprehensive. It's very, very, very deep because it is the law of the Almighty. It's very, very deep. That is why I can say unequivocally, there is no subject matter in this world that has writings, authors like the Islamic law. There is nothing like that. Not mathematics, not science, not engineering, not philosophy, not business. No system in this world, no subject matter in this world has books written on it like the Sharia law, like the Sharia. And then no system in this world accept difference of opinion within it like the Islamic legal framework. That is why you have different schools of thoughts in Islam. And within the same school of thought, you have different, schools of thought again in there. And they all form up the Islamic legal system. Why? Islam allows the mind to explore within it. So if you are able to do ijtihad, what we call ijtihad, striving and struggling, a jurist, if you are able to do that within the Islamic legal framework, then it's acceptable. I might bring an opposing view within the Islamic legal framework. If it has evidence, then it is acceptable. So the two opposing views can work within the Islamic legal framework. Let me give you an example. Bringing out Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim openly or silently in prayer, there is difference of opinions in there. That when you come, Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, or Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Imam Malik in his madhab, he doesn't bring Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim openly. But his student, Imam Shafi'i, brings out Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And all of this revolves around a hadith by one Sahabi who narrates that he heard the Prophet say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and sometimes he didn't hear him say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And the scholars are saying some of the surah, when they were revealed, they came in some of the qira'ah, in some of the recitals, Fatiha came with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In some other recitals, Fatiha didn't come with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So if you are reading the Quran or you are reading your Salat, you can say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim openly, or you can keep silent on Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, even though the predominant view is keeping silent on Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But then, if you bring out Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you are following another view, even though that view is not weak, but then it doesn't have enough proponents for it. So even within Salat, you have some of these differences, this tolerance, this magnanimity existing within the Sharia. So it's very, very important Muslims, read their religion and understand it. It's not everything that you see a Muslim does that you must fight him. Let me give you an example. Another example. I was born and bred in the Maliki school of thought from West Africa. That's who I am. And that's the madhab that I hold predominant, because that's what I was taught. But as I grew up studying, I saw other views within Sharia that are in line with the Maliki school of thought or not in line with the Maliki school of thought. So sometimes if I read and investigate and I realize that no, the Shafi'is or the Hanbalis or the Hanafis or Al-Awza'i or Al-Laythi or Al-Jariri, these people, one of them has a view that is stronger than the Maliki school of thought, I pick it concerning that issue. But then at the base, I'm a Maliki. I came to the United States last year and I was tasked to lead, Salat al-Eid. Last year's Salat al-Eid, not the small one, but the big one. Salat al-Eid. For the Hajj one. In a community who are predominantly Hanafi. So I was told that these people are Hanafi and then you are Maliki. What is going to happen? Before you begin the prayer, you need to explain to them that you can explain to them the Maliki way of doing, the prayer. I said, no, we are not going to do the Maliki way. We are going to do the Hanafi way. So in that morning, I opened my books and then I read the Hanafi way of doing, and I read the other school of thoughts, the way they do Salat al-Eid. And I looked at the evidences and then it was very wonderful, marvelous, that these different ways of doing even Salat al-Eid are enshrined in the Sharia. It is not just differences out of opinion or the Ashabul Madahib just got up and then they did the things that they did. They have a source. And wonderfully enough, those of us in the Maliki school of thought, if you come to do Eid, the first rakah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar 7. You read your Fatiha, you go and do your ruku. When you are coming back, Allahu Akbar 5. And then you do your ruku, and then that's it. The Hanafi way, totally different. Different, totally. Allahu Akbar, and then you do Allahu Akbar 4 times, not 7. In the Hanafi way, it is 7. you read your Fatiha, you read your Surah, you go down. When you are coming back, you do Allahu Akbar, you read Fatiha straightforward and your Surah. Before you do Ruku, you do Allahu Akbar 3 times and then you go to your Ruku. So for us in the Maliki, is the takbirs come before Fatiha. In the first and second rakah, the takbirs are 7 and 5. In the Hanafi school of thought, the first rakah's takbir is 4, and the second rakah's takbir is 3, but then it comes after the recital of the Quran. So these are some of the nitty-gritties within the Islamic legal system, and then it accepts, it's very open that it accepts this, all these differences within the Sharia. So we need to understand this. This is more of a fiqh, usul al-fiqh, issue that goes deeper. That is why in Islam you don't get up and speak anyhow. You don't say anything you want just like that. You don't just hit your head and then conjure things from the skies and say anything you want. You must read. You must take notes. You must take notes before you speak in Islam. I just want us to look at, some tolerance, some, ease in the Islamic legal system, where we have the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna Allah yuhibbu an yu'ta rukhasa, kama yukrih an yu'ta ma'asiyata." The Almighty Allah loves for people to accept ease. If the Almighty Allah has a law and then He brings in ease within the law, He brings in, some simplification in the law, He reduces the severity of the law, then you must accept it. Same way the Almighty Allah hates people to sin, He is also willing for you to accept if He has any exceptions in the law. For example, if you are traveling, normally it is 4 rakats, but then when you are traveling, Islam says reduce it to 2 rakats. Magnanimity, tolerance, understanding, looking at the situations that you are in. He reduced it for you. Instead of 4 rakats, He says pray 2. And then instead of praying Zuhur at its time and then Asr at its time, He said you can join the 2. You can pray Zuhur and Asr at the same time, at Zuhr time, or you can delay Zuhur and Asr and pray both of them at Asr time. Magnanimity. Islam says, yes, there is rain, there is a situation, there is a calamity. Okay, if you come out of the house to go to the masjid to go and pray, it will serve as a problem, a chaos for you. Okay, sallu fi rihalikum, pray in your homes. Don't come out of your house. There are bandits out there. There are people who have invaded the community. They are robbing people. They are killing people. If you come out of your home to go to the masjid and go and pray, those people will attack you, or the rain will affect you, or the sandstorm, or the hurricane, or the whatever. Islam says, okay, stay home. Protect your life. Because part of the objectives of the Sharia is the protection of lives. Islam says Ramadan is easy, but then you have a chronic illness, no, don't fast. What do? You rather feed people who are what? Who are fasting. Okay, what if I don't have the means of feeding these people? I am poor, I have a chronic illness, I can't make up the days after Ramadan, and then I can't also, feed the poor. You are forgiving. To the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ya Rasulullah, halaktu, I'm dead, I'm destroyed." The Prophet asked him why, what happened. He said, "I have had sexual intercourse with my wife in Ramadan, during the daytime of Ramadan." The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Can you free a slave?" He said, "I can't feed a slave." The Prophet said, "Okay, you have to fast 2 months consecutively." He said, "Ya Rasulullah, Ramadan 30 days, I was not able to control myself." How can I control myself 2 months without going near my wife? The Prophet Muhammad said, okay, you are going to feed 60 people. He said, Ya Rasulallah, me, what do I have? I don't have anything to feed 60 people with. The Prophet Muhammad said, okay, sit down. Later, someone brought a gift or sadaqah. The Prophet Muhammad gave to him. He said, you see this food? He said, go and give sadaqah to someone who is poor, who needs this. It is a form of expiation for you, for this sin that you've committed. It's a form of expiation. He said, Ya Rasulallah, do you believe there is a house in Medina that needs this food better than me? He said, Ya Rasulallah, there is nobody in need of this food better than me. Rasulullah said, take this food and go and feed your family. So Islam has that magnanimity, that tolerance, that ease. So if you are fasting and you are sick, break the fast. If you are fasting, you are traveling, break the fast. Rasulullah was traveling with his Sahaba. Some of them were fasting and others were not fasting. He didn't blame those who were not fasting. Why are you fasting? He didn't complain those who are fasting. Why are you not fasting? He didn't mix that up. Samaha. Leniency. Tolerance. Open-mindedness. The Islam is not about Jack said forward. Islam is not about that. Islam goes beyond that. Some of the ibadah that Islam makes compulsory, if a woman is in that time of the month where her visitor has come, Islam says, no, don't pray, don't fast. After the period, if you have missed any fast, make up the fast, because the fast comes once in a year. But then your prayers that you are missing for 5 days, 7 days, there is no sin upon you. Don't make it up. Don't even think of making it up at all. Samahatul Islam. It could have been all the days that you miss salat, after your visitor leaves you and then you bath, you must pay them. But Islam says, no. Don't pay them. Don't remake them. Don't make them up. Islam says zakat is compulsory. But then, if only you have the means. So if you don't have the means, you are not questioned. You are free of it. If you are sick, and then you are going to pray, you can't stand and pray, Islam says sit down and pray. If you can't pray whilst sitting down, lie down and pray. Samahatul Islam. Islam says before you pray, wash your hands, ablution, perform ablution, wash your body. Okay, what if I have a chronic illness? My skin, I have a skin disease. If I use water, it's going to aggravate the disease. Islam says use dust. At-tayammum, it gives you an alternative. At-tayammum. What if it's not a skin disease? I have a sore on my head. If water enters, it will aggravate it. You all know of the popular hadith of the Sahaba when they went to a war, and then a guy was struck in the head, and then he had a sore, and then he slept, and then he had nocturnal emissions, and then there was a need for him to perform the ghusl, the bathing. He complained to his friends that I've had a sore on my head, and this is what has happened to me. If I bath, this water will enter my sore, it will aggravate. They said, no, you must bath. The guy bathed, water entered his head, and then he died. When the Prophet Muhammad was told, he said, Qataluhu qatalahumullah. They killed him. May the curse of Allah be upon them. Halla yas'alu illam ya'rifu. Why didn't they ask when they didn't know? So if you have a sore on your head or any part of your body that if it comes into contact with water, it will aggravate it, even if you have nocturnal emissions, even if you have finished your menses, and then you have, a sore on your body that if you bath, when water enters that sore, it will aggravate the situation. Use tayammum, use sun, dust, your hands, your face, and that's it. You are done. You're okay. This is our Sharia. This is our Sharia. Another important tolerance or magnanimity that Sharia has is al-aslu fil ashya ibaha. The originality of things, food, activities, relationships is halal. Illa ma ja'a an-nass fi tahrimi, except what the Quran or the Sunnah comes to say, this is haram, then don't do it. Unless we have a nas that says spectacles are haram, then we'll continue wearing it. Unless we have a nas that says phone is haram, we'll continue to use it. Unless we have a nas that says pillow, using a pillow is haram, we'll continue using it. Unless there is a nas that says wristwatch is haram, we'll continue using it. Every human endeavor, every human activity, every human relationship, every human transaction, every human food, every human drink, so long as there is no text from the Sharia that says this particular thing is haram, that thing is halal. Kangaroo, is it halal or haram? Kangaroo meat, is it halal or haram? Unless there is a clear-cut nas that says kangaroo is haram, then we will eat it. That is one. Two, unless there is a general statement in the Sharia that gives specifications of animals who are haram to eat, especially animals that have claws and animals that have carnassial teeth. So we look at the kangaroo. Does it eat blood? Does it have claws? Does it have carnassial teeth? It doesn't have, then it's permissible for us to eat. The Islamic legal system has that. The Islamic legal system has allowed us to eat of good things. Eat good. Wear good. Sleep good. Good bed. Have a good bed if you want. Yes, buy king size bed with your soft blanket. Yes, use condition in your room. That is the magnanimity of Islam. Islam understands that your spirit, your body, your soul also likes these beautiful things. Unlike in some other religions whereby there is Rahbaniya, monasticism. That is why Islam doesn't buy the idea of you going outside in the bush, in the forest, and find a and lock yourself and stay. And don't come back. No. Islam is a communal religion. It understands relations between people. It has opened that door. So within Ibadah, you have that. Hajj is compulsory, but then if only you have the means, and even if you have the means and then you do it once, it's enough in your lifetime. Islam has given you that opening. Islam has given us the opportunity to do business, buy and sell, hire, agencies, all forms of human relationships. So long as they go in line with the Sharia, Islam is tolerant. It's marhaba. Come, I accept you. Another thing, ibahatu akli al-maytati lil-muttar. There are some foods that are haram, but then in dire situations, in dire consequences. Islam says that food that is haram, if it is the food that will give you life, it will give you sustenance, eat that food according to what will sustain you. الضرورات تبيح المحظورات والضرورات تقدر بقدرها. Necessities, conditions, situations make some prohibitions acceptable. Islam didn't say haram, 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 haram. No way, no way, no way, no. Islam says there is a window of opportunity if you don't have any option, and the only option you have is that haram, and then you are in a dire situation, a life and death situation. Let's understand this very, very well. Let's not misunderstand it. The situation is a dire situation. It's a situation of life and death. If it is not a situation of life and death, then that haram still remains haram. But then if it is a situation of life and death, and then you don't have any option, then, for example, you are on the desert. You are there, you are about to die, and then they brought food. No need to even ask where that food is coming from or what that food is. Chi kaishuru. That's Islam. Some time ago, controversy in one town in Ghana. A person was discussing riba, interest, usually in Islam. And the person is not a scholar. He's just an opinion leader who was discussing an issue on Islam. These are some of the problems we are having. If you have square pegs in round holes, this is what is going to happen. If you are an opinion leader in the community, it doesn't make you an imam or sheikh to go and speak on Islamic issues on TV or radio. The host of Islamic programs, you must learn Islam. Maybe you are a host of an Islamic program on TV or radio, or even you are a blogger on Facebook, and then you want to talk about Islamic issues. You must read about the issue first, read about it, in-depth reading, and then ask the sheikh so that your information and your knowledge about that thing is beefed up before you come on set to come and talk. You can't just at the reception and then, okay, today we are talking about riba. Okay, then you write at the reception and then you write your 5-6 questions, and then you enter into the studio. That is when you are coming to ask me a question. If I see that, I will give you problems on set. Yes, I'll give you problems on set. But I'll advise you first that no. That is why most of these, TV stations, when they are going to invite me, give me information beforehand and then send me the questions first beforehand. So some questions I tell them, no, this question is not acceptable in Islam. You can't ask this question because the phrasing and the wording is not Islamic. Change it this way. That's what I do to them. And they were like, they accept. This man was on television and then he said, yes, riba was haram. Yes, and riba is haram. He spoke about riba, the consequences of riba and stuff like that. Then someone called and then he said, I have a question. My mother is terminally ill. We need money for urgent surgery. I've looked for money. There is no money. Nobody is willing to give money, or they are not in the position to give money. Then someone says they will give me the money, but then with interest. And the money is needed urgently to save my mother's life through the surgery. Should I receive that money? And then he said, no, it is haram. Let your mother die. Says haram. Let your mother die. Leave her. Riba is haram. Let her die. It's better for her to die than for you to accept the riba money. This is pure ignorance about Islam. About ad-darurat tubihul mahdurat. Take that money so long as it is needed. and the surgery rate is positive. The odds are positive that yes, your mother can survive from the surgery, from the doctor's analysis of the situation. Take that money and go and save your mother's life. The problem is Islam is not interested in dole by force, punishing people or enacting the laws. That's not Islam's aim. People must understand that when Islam brings in a rule or a law, it is not that Islam is saying definitely that law must be established 100%. Islam has opened a window of opportunity that there are some exceptions in these situations, in these laws, that there might be some conditions that will come in and then the law will not apply 100%. Muslims must understand this. And non-Muslims alike must understand that the Islamic Sharia, when it came about punishment, about beating people, about that, it is not that Islam wants to beat people's back or Islam wants to establish that law by force. There are nuances down there. There are issues that Islam looks at before enacting that punishment. A mad woman was caught during the time of Umar bin Khattab, pregnant. She was mad. And she got pregnant. She didn't have a husband. She didn't have a husband. And she got pregnant. And she was mad. So there is the clear evidence that she has committed adultery, fornication. And she's mad. Okay, how then do we take that? The Sahaba were, let's punish her. And Ali radiallahu anhu said, no, you can't punish this woman. You can't punish her. Why? Because she's sick in the head. Muhammad said, Rufi al-Aqlam ala thalath. There are three people that the Almighty Allah doesn't write good or bad deeds for them. Amongst them is a mad person. So if someone is mad in Islam, the laws do not work on the person. So if someone is mad in Islam, it's not compulsory for the person to pray. It's not compulsory for the person to do Hajj. It's not compulsory for the person to do Zakat. Even though Islam has some rulings on Zakat for a mad person or a person who has not yet, come of age. A child. That is why children are. So Islam takes all that into consideration. Islam, okay, a woman gets pregnant. A young girl in the area is raped. What is her fault? She is exempted totally from the punishment. The guy who rapes her, okay, how did he rape her? Why did he rape her? No, some guys forced him. They put a gun on his head. They caught them, 3 men, 2 women. They said the men raped the woman. The man said, no, I won't rape her. And then they shot one of them in the head. Oh, they killed him. You are seeing that has been killed. You rape her. You said, no, they shoot you in the leg. Because of your life, you were forced to rape her. The two of you are not going to be held accountable. Those men who forced you from a anybody who is forced within the Islamic legal system to do something out without their willingness, they are not punished. It's very, very important we understand these nuances. Very, very important. Let me see our time. Another important aspect, we cannot, every point that I have mentioned is a 2-hour lecture on its own. Every point that I have mentioned, I'm just giving you summaries of what Islam is on these issues. Just summaries. The Almighty Allah tells us, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم. Fear Allah according to your capabilities. Fear Allah according to your capabilities. Don't go and carry something in Islam that you cannot carry. No. Look at what other people are doing in terms of ibadah. It serves as a motivation for you. and then you do it according to your capabilities and your means. That's it. If you can give sadaqah of $10, that's your capability. If you can give $5, that's your capability. Don't do something beyond that. And Islam recognizes each person's ability and capabilities. That is why we are going to be judged individually. Individually, you're going to be judged. Another aspect, ما خير رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بين أمرين إلا اختار أيسرهما ما لم يكن إثما. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was never given an option to choose between two things, except he chose the easiest one, so long as that easier option is not haram, it's not a sin. So you are torn between choosing two things. Choose the easier one. That's Islam. That is Islam. It's not compulsory that anytime you are given an option to choose between two things, you choose the big one, the difficult one, and that is a sign of Iman. Please, it is not a sign of Iman. If you do it, Alhamdulillah. If you are given the option of praying 40 rakats at night and then 10 rakats at night, if I choose 10 rakats and you choose 40 rakats, you will be rewarded for the 40 rakats and I will be rewarded for the 10 rakats. But then the option to choose between 10 and 40 is not a yardstick for measuring Iman. Because the Prophet, if he is given the option to choose between two things, a difficult thing and an easy thing, he chooses the easy thing. So long is not a sin. And then mind you, it is not a room for being lazy. Let's make this point. It is not a room for being lazy and then becoming lazy. No. We need to state that fact. It is not for laziness. Please. Another aspect of Islam's magnanimity and then Islam's tolerance, the Prophet Muhammad said, Inna rifqa ma yakunu fi shay. You see, softness, understanding, empathy, feeling, sympathy for people, being easy on people. If it's in an issue, it beautifies it. And if tolerance and simplicity is taken out of something, that thing smells. Tolerance with each other, Muslims. Tolerance with each other. Irrespective of the differences of aqidah that we have, it's important when we are speaking to each other, addressing the issues is very important. Sometimes we leave addressing the issues aside and then we just end up engaging in egoistic, name calling and fighting. I am Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, born and bred. I am not a Sufi. I don't buy Sufi ideologies. But then if I'm addressing something concerning Sufism that I feel goes against the mainstream Kitab wa Sunnah, let's tackle the issue. Let's tackle the issue. If you also feel that there is something that I am doing as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah that you feel is wrong according to the Kitab wa Sunnah, let's tackle the issue. That way, when we meet, discussing the issue, be beneficial. It's going to be more educative. It's going to be more intellectual, more interactive. That even after that, we can shake hands and say, you are wrong. It doesn't have to be too antagonistic that at the end of the day, when I see you, I can't even say Salaam Alaikum to you. When I see you, we can't look at each other's face. We live together in the same community as Muslims, but because of difference of Aqidah and because of the words used for each other, we are living peacefully with the non-Muslims more than we are living peacefully with our own fellow Muslims. And sometimes it's not even about difference of aqidah, it's within the same aqidah. Sometimes scholars within Al-Jama'ah are having high time seeing eyeball to each other because they disagree within Ahlul Sunnah. Tijaniya are also facing the same thing. Our level of tolerance is stinky. It's stinky. Within Ahlul Sunnah, we have tolerance issues. Within Tijaniya, they have tolerance issues. Why? It's not even about Ahlul Sunnah and Tijaniya tolerance issue. It's even within the... Why must it be so? Why is that I want to address an issue that has come up? Ahlul Sunnah. Another Ahlul Sunnah student have said something, and then I have a difference of opinion, or that I feel that his opinion is wrong because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then I come on social media, instead of addressing the issue, I address him rather. I call him names. I character assassinate him, destroy him. And then I come and talk about the thing in 5 minutes. And then I talk about him for 30 minutes. And I come and talk about the substantive issue in 5 minutes. Where is that? Where is the magnanimity? Where is the tolerance? Aisha agreed with the Sahaba of things. Even on Isra wal Miraj, did the Prophet Muhammad see Allah or not? It's a difference of opinion between Aisha and Ibn Abbas. You know of that. But then did they call each other names? The seeing of the Almighty Allah is aqidah, it's not fiqh. It's aqidah. But then Aisha and Ibn Abbas disagreed. Did the Prophet see Allah when he went for Isra wal Miraj? Aisha and Ibn Abbas disagreed on that. But they didn't call each other names. They didn't insult each other. Do the dead hear when you speak to them in the grave? Aisha said no. Umar said yes. They disagreed. They didn't call each other names. So why is it that within the same sect that we are in, issues come up of fiqh, and instead of that, these things intellectually, we end up character assassinating each other? It shouldn't be so. We will disagree. That is compulsory whether we like it or not. Within the same madhab, we will disagree. Within the same madhab, within the same aqidah, we will disagree. We will disagree. Whether you like it or not, we will disagree. But then the most important thing is, how do we manage that disagreement? It's very, very important. Let's eschew envy and jealousy from our hearts. It doesn't matter who is holding the flag of Sunnah high in Ghana. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who is the most famous. It doesn't matter who is the most knowledgeable. What matters is that the flag is still high. That's it. It's not about why are people listening and not listening. That's not the issue. Why is it that he is having more followers than I am having? That's not the issue. Why is it that his mosque is packed more than mine? That's not the issue. The issue is, okay, what's in the Kitab wa Sunnah? We throw tolerance and magnanimity through the window. And then we fight each other. And our neighbors and brothers, the Tijaniya, are also not free from this cancer. Previously, I believe that the Tijaniya is still disciplining their students. But now, students in Tijaniya will openly insult their sheikhs. This cancer is not with Ahlul Sunnah. You hardly hear a student in Ahlul Sunnah publicly insult his sheikh. No. But in Tijaniya, you have it back home in Ghana. It is a cancer. that all of us are facing, we need to get and straighten it and understand that the Islamic fiqh is very, very wide, very, very broad. We need to understand that. I must not revenge by force. I must not attack you back by force. No. You all know the history of Fathu Makkah. When the Prophet Muhammad conquered Makkah and all the people of Makkah were gathered in front of him, he asked them, what do you think that me, Muhammad, today I'm going to do to you? 13 years of persecution, another 8 years of wars. Think today I will do to you? They said, Wabnu Akhin Karim. He said, you are a magnanimous brother and the son of a magnanimous. He said, Idhabu fa'antum tulaqa. Go, you are free people. You persecuted me for 13 years. You did all kinds of things to me, but I'm magnanimous in victory. Go, you're free. And before that, he gave an information before coming that Man dakhala bayta Abi Sufyan fahuwa amin. Anybody who enters the house of Abu Sufyan is safe. Man dakhala al-bayta fahuwa amin. Anybody who enters the Masjid al-Haram is free. Man dakhala dahu man aglaqa alayhi baba fahuwa amin. But check, the issues of intolerance during the time of the Sahaba was much more intense compared to now. To an extent where Sayyidina Uthman was assassinated, same with Sayyidina Ali. This your statement itself is wrong. This statement that the issue of intolerance during the time of the Sahaba was more intense is completely wrong. It's totally erroneous. It's totally erroneous. To an extent where Sayyidina Uthman was assassinated, same with Sayyidina Ali. Read the history very well. Who are the ones who assassinated Uthman and who are the ones who assassinated Ali and who are the ones who assassinated Uthman? Read that. The Sahaba have no hand in that. So to say that the issue of intolerance in the Sahaba was much more intense is totally erroneous. Totally erroneous. Muhammadur Rasulullah والذين معه أشداء على الكفار ruhama'u bainahum. Allah says in the Quran that the Sahaba ruhama'u bainahum, they are merciful and tolerant to each other. So this your statement itself is wrong. If you can please delete it yourself, it will help me a lot. Because this your statement itself goes against the Quran. The Quran says ruhama'u bainahum, they are tolerant and merciful with each other, the Sahaba. So if you say they are intolerant, I don't know, your word and Allah's word, which one? So please take it off. And then the issue of Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali, the history of the assassination of Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali, the Sahaba had no hands in that. Why were they assassinated? Sheikh, the people who disagreed with them were not Sahaba. So if you tell me that it is because of intolerance between the Sahaba, that is why they were assassinated, it's also totally erroneous. It is wrong. Uthman and Ali and even Umar were assassinated by people who were not the Sahaba. Umar was assassinated by a kafir. Uthman was assassinated by a Khawarij. Ali was also assassinated by the Khawarij. They were not Sahaba. If Umar, Uthman and Ali were assassinated by the Sahaba, then it means there was an intolerance between the Sahaba. But these people were assassinated by people who were not the Sahaba. So how then do we say it is as a result of the intolerance between the Sahaba? No. Not at all. There was no issue of intolerance between them. If you say there were issues of disagreement, then that is fine. They disagreed. But then to take it to the level of intolerance, then that is not true. I can disagree with you and then still tolerate you. But then if I am not tolerating you, then it means that I've already disagreed with you long before even the intolerance. So the issue of why were they assassinated, has nothing to do with the Sahaba, because the one who assassinated Ibn Umar was a non-Muslim, Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi. He brought the complaint of Mughira to Ibn Shu'ba that Mughira was overworking him because he was his slave. He was expecting Umar to chastise him. Umar said no, he wouldn't, talk bad about a Muslim in front of his slave who is not a Muslim. So this guy manufactured a sword with two, mouths, and then he poisoned it for 1 month, and then he stabbed Umar 4 times, and then he killed Umar. So this guy is a non-Muslim. With this issue of Uthman, these Khawarij guys, they brought allegations against Uthman, and then they came to Medina, and then they met Uthman, and Uthman explained to them these allegations, and then they accepted that they were wrong. They returned back, but then their leaders who were hateful joined, remobilized them, and then they came, and then they assassinated Uthman. It has nothing to do with the Sahaba. Even Ali came out of his house with Sahaba and their children. And then the sword of the Prophet, he went to Uthman and then he said, Uthman, let's fight these people. He said, no, they are many in number. You are just only 500. They will kill you. Because the Sahaba, most of them have gone to Mecca for Hajj. So Medina was somehow empty and deserted. Muawiyah was in another Sahabi. He sent to Uthman that Uthman, leave Medina and come to Sham, we will protect you. Uthman said, no, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is buried here in Medina. I don't have anywhere to go except where Muhammad is. Muawiyah said, okay, then I'll bring my soldiers from Sham to Medina to come and protect you. He said, no, you bring your soldiers into Medina, you are going to make issues difficult and complicated for the Sahaba in Medina. So the Sahaba wanted to help Uthman. Uthman said, no, don't touch them, leave them alone. So the people who assassinated Uthman had nothing to do with the Sahaba. The Sahaba came to help him. And the person who even assassinated Sayyidina Ali is Abdurrahman ibn al-Muljim. He was Ramadan. And then he's not even to your preamble of the issue of intolerance during the time of Sahaba was much more intense. It's totally erroneous. You should take that out of your mind. And then even if you exchange the word intolerance for disagreement, that it is more intense during our time, that is also totally erroneous. The level of the disagreements that they have at that time, the Sahaba were 140,000. The ones that did Hajjatul Wada. Muslims are 2 billion now. So if you tell me that disagreement between 140,000 people is more intense than 2 billion people, that's also erroneous. So please, sometimes you need to, okay, disagreement has time to be corrected, no problem. The correction. So let's take some questions now. I've not touched this paper. What that I've said is from the head. The paper, I've not touched it. Maybe we'll look at Samat al-Islam again tomorrow, but no, we don't have much time. I want us to look at Badr. What was the misunderstanding between Muawiyah and Ali, and why did they both rage in a war? It is a long process. It's a long history. The issue is different. It's a difference of opinion between Muawiyah and Ali concerning what to do with the people who assassinated Uthman. That's the disagreement. How they both agreed that yes, let's fight them, let's kill them, let's bring them to justice. But then when Muawiyah, before even him, Abdullah ibn Zubair and Talhat ibn Ubaidillah, these people preceded even Muawiyah in asking Ali to find those who killed Uthman and fight them. Ali said, let's take our time, let's explore our options first. These people, we don't know how deep it runs. So let's take our time. Talha and Zubair with Muawiyah, they were feeling, let's do it now. So it's like the UGCC and CPP. UGCC were saying self-government in the next, possible. CPP was saying self-government now. So Muawiyah and Talha and Co were saying assassinate them, let's find them, let's judge them now. Ali is saying no, let's look at our options. And from the Aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah was right than them. Because when Talha and Zubair went to Syria and then they caught some of the people who came to kill Uthman, they caught them and then they punished them. About 100 of them, 6,000 people came out to defend them. So if they had caught them now and then punished them, it would have been a problem. Because you would... Yes, Muslims were killed during that war. Muslims were killed during that war. Muslims died. So, what is the issue here concerning Muslims were killed? It was war, and even the war itself, it's not as if they came out to face each other and fight. It was they came for, especially Waqi'at al-Jamal, where Aisha was on the camel. It was not as if they came out to fight. It was more of coming out to smoke the peace pipe. But then these Khawarij guys who were in there, they were the ones who ended up, they ended up destroying things. And it's not something that we can cover in 5-10 minutes. There are books that have been written on that. حقبة من التاريخ ما بين وفاة الرسول إلى مقتل حسين رضي الله عنه. It's a book that has been written explaining these things. And mind you, let me also make a point. It's not everything that you see in our history books that you take hook, line, and sinker. It's very important. It's not issues that you see in Tariq al-Tabari, Ibn Asakir, Tariq Dimashq, Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, that you see in the history books. Oh, it is in the history books, so it is. No. The authors of these history books, in their introduction, they told you that they copied or they related all these events as it was narrated to them. But then they also included the chain of narration. So if you are reading their book, the onus is upon you to authenticate the information before sharing it outside. So it's very, very important. So for the fact that you've seen written in Tabari, Tariq al-Tabari, Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, Tariq Ibn Asakir, Tariq kada kada kada, Tariq al-Kabir of Bukhari and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that those things were true. It's very, very important. Let's take this. Because the history of Islam was written by three different groups. The first group were Al-Muttafi'in bi-Aqlamihim, people who were writing to eat. So they write to favor the government of the day. So that is why you find out that the history of Banu Umayyah was totally rubbished and written evil about them, because those who were writing at that time were journalists who were writing to please Banu Abbas. Because Banu Abbas was a political class, Banu Umayyah was another political class. And Banu Abbas, they overthrew Banu Umayyah. So those people who wrote the history during the time of Banu Abbas wrote evil things about Banu Umayyah, legislate and then to legitimize the rule of Banu Abbas. So you find out that they've written evil about them just to get whatever they want. The second group of people, who are divided into two, wrote Al-Bayt. You have them An-Nawasib and the Rawafid wrote the history of the Al-Bayt and even sent them to be gods. So you find in some of the Shia books, Ali and the household are seen as gods. And then another group, the group B of this group, are called An-Nawasib. They wrote evil about the house, the Ahl-Bayt. So you find An-Nawasib writing evil about Ali, writing evil about Hassan, writing evil about Hussein. An-Nawasib even said the assassination of Hussein was justified. They brought things. And then when you look at Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, also in two parts. Those people who wrote what really happened, and then the likes of Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Asakir, they came and then they collected all of this into their books. But then they put the chain of narrations. So you and I today, when you pick Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya of Ibn Kathir, you don't take it hook, line, and sinker. So it is not even for students to pick Ibn Kathir and say they are looking for something historical in there. So long, unless you have knowledge of authentication of hadith and history, Ibn Kathir and say you are looking at it for an information, because you might pick something wrong. And Sheikh, why Why is the sect of the Shia called Muawiyah a kafir? Furthermore, they also insinuate Aisha and Abu Bakr changed part of the Quran. It's part of the dalalat of the Shia. It's part of the misgivings and the misguidance of the Shia that Aisha and Abu Bakr changed parts of the Quran. The Quran was not someone's private property that was hiding in his armpits that he can change and include anything that he wants in there. So it's just a business argument. And then why are they calling Muawiyah kafir? Yes, because of the difference of opinion he had with Ali. But that is not even an issue of calling him a kafir. Ali was right. Between Muawiyah and Ali, Ali is right. That is the mawqif of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Yes, I told you disagreement is part and parcel of Islam. Disagreement is part and parcel of Islam. So there is nothing with disagreeing because we are humans. Listen, one sheikh said, Muhammad Hassan in Egypt said, اختلاف القلوب داء واختلاف العقول ثراء. He said, اختلاف العقول ثراء. Disagreements of the minds is a resource. Disagreement when it comes to intellectual ability is a resource. If we are all we are working for the same company and we are all having the same ideology, the company will not grow. But then if you have different views or different, innovative ideas, then the company has a rich, source of information. But then, اختلاف القلوب da, differences of the heart is a sickness. So our hearts should be like this, but then our minds should have difference of opinion. If my difference of opinion, but our hearts are together, we will live peacefully, we will enjoy each other. I'll look at what you are saying and I realize that, wow, Salim is saying something that I don't know. I jot it down. Because I love you, my heart is with you. But for the fact that we have difference of understanding, I will love you because our heart is together. And then I'll copy what you have and I'll implement it. You too, you copy what I have and then we'll implement. So disagreement from narration. Yes, some were major, some were minor. It takes deep study to be able to break this down. Not even some people like us that you see, we are here talking cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. Sometimes some things, we sit back. We sit back and say, no. This is beyond our level. Yes. We also listen to sheikhs. Same way you are listening to us, we also listen to sheikhs. Listen with pen and paper and then pick and then go and then do our research. Oh, okay, this is why the sheikh is saying so, this is why he's saying so. Listening to a 1 hour lecture on a particular issue will only give you the introduction to that issue. It won't exhaust it. Because the sheikh who has given that 1 hour lecture used at least 2 hours to prepare what he has told you in 1 hour. At least 2 hours in preparing what he has told you in 1 hour. This thing that we are saying, we took us more than 2 to 3 hours to prepare for it. This lecture that I've written now, 2 pages, it took me more than 2 to 3 hours to prepare for it. And I've not even exhausted half of the page, half of 1 page of what I have said. Sometimes in the procedure, some things also come, yes. But Sheikh, if this can go to the extent where Muslims lost their lives, one can oblige there were major disagreements compared to our times. Still, we have a problem in Syria and Yemen. What is happening in our time is more bloodier than this. What happened between the Sahaba, the disagreement between the Sahaba, and what it resulted in is something small as compared to what we are doing now. Look at how we are killing each other left, right, and center. And for what reason? And for what reason? What happened between them is something small compared to what we are doing now. Yemen is now is considered as a hunger crisis. The Sahaba didn't face that. The wars that the Sahaba faced, we are having the wars in Syria now. How many years now? The war in Yemen, how many years now? The war in Iraq, how many years now? Libya, how many years now? So, Get your facts right. Get the facts right. What they did, the disagreement that they had, and then let me remind you, the wars that they fought, it is not as if they faced each other and fought. They had enemies within. Who fought? For example, Battle of the Camel, after after Ali sent Kaka to Aisha to explain to them their positions, they both agreed. They had a peace deal. Kaka from Ali's side was able to convince and that yes, they agreed a peace deal, and that was in the night. So the idea was that in the morning they were just all going to depart. But then the Khawarij, the people who created this mess from the beginning, saw that yay, we've lost. And then they had already distributed themselves. Part were in the group of Aisha and part of Ali. And then before dawn, they flew arrows into each other. So Ali got up and then he said, wow, they've broken the oath. Zubair also got up and he said, oh, Ali has broken the oath. So they entered each other and then they fought. So it is not as if they went out for the sole purpose of going to war. No, that's not what happened. Aisha, Zubair and Talha, they went out to seek, you know what we call signatures now, petition signatures now, to get a huge number of people to pressure a government in doing something. That was the idea. They went to find out how will people, to tell the people that let's pressure Ali. You see, they recognize Ali to be the leader, and they recognize that he is the only one who had the authority to what? To mete out punishment to the people who killed Uthman. They didn't disagree with him concerning his leadership. They didn't disagree with him concerning his power. All they disagreed with him is, when do we punish these people? So they went out trying to, mobilize people to send information to Ali that the Muslim community wants this to be done now. And as the leader, he can't still remain in Medina, whereby people are going out mobilizing people on an issue. So he is also going out to explain to the people his reason why he is saying, let's wait before we kill the people who killed Usman. And mind you, because of this stance of his, the Nawasib are saying that Ali had a hand in killing Uthman, which Aliyahzubillah, may Almighty Allah safeguard us from that lie. So when they agreed on that issue, that no problem, let's all go back to Medina and then let's sit and then let's strategize. The Khawarij were not happy. They flew arrows in both directions and then they entered the hall and fought. So it was not as if the Sahaba went out purposely to fight each other. No, they didn't do that. They didn't do that. But we are going out purposely to kill each other and fight each other. And this has caused this humanitarian crisis in Yemen and Iraq and Afghanistan, and even though Afghanistan is not us. In Iraq, we are still killing each other. In Syria, we are still killing each other. In Libya, we are still killing each other. Yes, Allah is all-knowing, He forgive us, but try as much as possible to read from authentic sources when it comes to issues between the Sahaba. Al-Fitnatu Bayna Sahaba is a book written by Muhammad Hassan. You can get a sheikh to read the book for you and explain for you page by page if you don't understand Arabic. But if you understand Arabic, I urge you to read that book, Al-Fitnatu Bayna Sahaba by Muhammad Hassan. And also read the book by Dr. Al-Khamis, that is Hikbatu Min. I think my other brother Sheikh Anas is explaining that book in one of his series, so you can consult Darul Hadith, you get that. And even my another elder brother Mansour Anas of Techiman, he is also having lessons on that. You can contact them for detailed explanations on these things, because they took the books and then they read it. Check how authentic is the hadith that narrates that Ali is alleged to have raised his word on Aisha. His word. I don't know any hadith of that. The fact that I don't know doesn't mean the hadith is there or it's not there. I don't know. That he raised his sword. If you mean he raised his sword against Aisha, that is a blatant lie, because even that war Ali didn't participate. He didn't come out until the war was over. He didn't participate. He didn't go out with his sword at all in that war. And after that war, Aisha security. after the battle of Jamal, he gave Aisha security to Medina. And then he called her Ummah, my mother, because she's the mother of the faithful, the believers. So if he had raised his sword, why would he give her security escort? He didn't even come out for the war. And Aisha, she unfortunately found herself in the war, because when they started flying arrows, they were trying to get Aisha to safety. Where she found herself in the war, but she didn't also come out to fight the war. No, he didn't raise his sword. That is pure and blatant untruth and lie. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. Any last question, and then we call it a day. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.